Hi everyone! In today's video, we are doing something a little different. Today, we are at my parents' house and I am going to completely make over their pantry. As you can see, this pantry is cluttered with so much stuff and I'm going to transform it into a neat Konmari style organized pantry. Get ready because this makeover is going to be intense. I am showing you here a few things that I purchased. I bought a lot of organizational type of things to help me make this pantry look really good. So what I'm going to start off with is taking all of those out of their bags, removing the stickers, and we are going to wash everything with warm soap and water. So I ended up buying this tiered shelving thing. I don't know what it's called. And I thought it would be perfect to stack any canned goods. And I found it at, I think, Marshall's for like $2.99. And this little Lazy Susan turntable thingy, I wasn't sure what I was going to put on it, but I knew it was going to be really handy. And now I'm washing a few plastic bins that I bought. I know plastic is not good for the environment, but doing this pantry makeover for my parents, I knew I had to be really practical and logical about it for it to stay the way I'm organizing it. I knew I had to get clear plastic bins. That way my parents can easily see what's in there and grab it and go. So I just really wanted to get plastic clear things just so it's very practical so that they can see through it. I know there's a lot of options to use baskets or other colors, but I just knew clear was the way to go for them. And as you can see here, I have a lot of glass jars as well. So again, these are all washable, so it's really not too bad for the environment. Okay, now that everything is washed and drying, I am going to start off by removing everything in the pantry. And I was surprised that there was so much stuff in the pantry. Stay tuned because I'm going to give you a video footage shot of all of the stuff on the countertop. It is mind-blowing. Like seriously, there's so much stuff in this tiny little pantry closet that I ended up putting on the kitchen counter. So if you look at the very top shelf, there's this weird looking old machine. I had no idea what that thing was, and honestly, I've lived in this house my whole, I was born into this house. I lived there up until college, and here I'm asking my mom, what the heck is that thing? I've never seen it before. And she's telling me that this is like an air filter system. And I was like, Mom, I'm 28 years old. I've never seen you use this thing. Do you really need it? And convincingly enough, she agreed, and she was like, okay, fine, we'll recycle it. So that's one thing about the Konmari method is declutter, do not get attached to items, and ask yourself, do you really need this thing? And so it's hard to do that with my mom because my mom is just really, I don't want to call her a hoarder, but it's just hard for her to let things go. So I'm glad she agreed with me and saw my point that that thing needed to go. And you will see that we are throwing away a whole lot of things later in this video. I found a miracle, I found goodbye ancient machine from the 80s. Alright, so now it's time to really transform this thing. So the first thing I'm going to do to transform it is remove all of the existing contact paper. My mom always contact papers all of the shelves once a year, every year, but I'm going to remove it and put something a little bit different than what she's used to. Now before I put that new something on the shelves, I'm going to wipe it down with a cleaning spray and rag. And we are just going to really get this thing nice and clean before we add the new contact paper. Before we lay out the new contact paper, I'm going to give you an overview of the countertops. So you're going to see all of the stuff I removed from the pantry. Ready? Here it is! How ridiculous this is. There's so much stuff on the countertops, and I'm gonna have to go through every single one of these and throw away anything that's expired. It didn't even fit on the countertop over there, so I'm showing you the other table and the chairs I had to put it on. Alright, so now that you've seen that, let's get started with the contact paper. So I bought this contact paper on Amazon, and it's not the sticky kind. It's actually the kind that you just place on the shelf. You don't have to worry about like removing the adhesive and trying to stick it on the shelf real smooth. So I thought this was going to be a nice option. Plus it's washable, so it can be removed and rinsed out in the sink or wiped down. So all of the shelves are the same size, so I am just cutting 4 of the same sizes right now, and it ended up being not wide enough, so I took one of those and cut it up into 3 different strips and just added it to the back so that it would fill in the gap. Such a rush. I love having you here with me. To dream big is no sin. The sky has no limit, yeah, we're free. This town's too small for dreams like this. Don't wanna settle down, don't wanna miss out on adventures, things we haven't seen. Take my hand and follow me. So like I mentioned before, my mom contact papers this thing every year. She does like this crazy spring cleaning every year during springtime. She'll do the entire house, and it's really intense. So I just wanted to mention that my mom is really clean and my dad is really organized, and my dad is not really clean and my mom is not really organized. And I think it's funny that I got like the best of both worlds from them, because I am a chronic cleaner and organizer. Like, I love organizing just like my dad, and my dad is the one who will remove everything from the pantry and organize it like super neatly. Same thing with the refrigerator, but my mom doesn't see the point in that. She's more of like the opposite. Like, she's really good at cleaning, but just organizing things, that is definitely her weakness. Okay, so let's get straight into organizing. So the first thing I'm going to organize is all of the canned goods. Now, these are all of the cans from the countertop that I showed you earlier. I'm going through all of these, looking at what has expired and throwing them away in a garbage bag. And you're gonna see that I ended up decluttering a lot of things. So I live in Florida. My parents obviously live in Florida. So we had a lot of canned goods from previous hurricanes that we just never used, and they ended up expiring. So I'm going to be throwing away a decent amount of things, and the things that are not expired are things that we regularly cook with. So definitely, if you see coconut milk there and chickpeas, you know you are in an Indian household. Alright, we have consolidated to all of the cans that are being kept, and what I did here was basically any of the cans that are expiring sooner are being stacked on top. That way my parents pick it up first before the one below it. So for example, one of those Goyas that are stacked up there, the one on top is going to expire before the one on the bottom. So this will just help them keep the shelf life of each canned good item. Just keep it accurate, and they're not using the newer one, they're using the older one. First in, first out. FIFO, what up? Anyway, so we're moving on to the very last shelf, and I am going to take all of my mom's olive oils and just stack them in here. Anytime Publix has them BOGO, she just stocks up on them. And for the turntable, I decided to place all of our random ingredients and seasonings here, so my parents can just like turn it and find whatever they need. So Pam, turmeric, honey, all that good stuff. Now down here on the bottom shelf is where all of the condiments are going and overflow of stuff. And eventually I'm going to put more seasoning down here. So the bottom shelf is not really eye level. So that's why I was good with putting like condiments and just overflows of stuff. You were on my mind, my ride or die. It was our right time, the time of. So what I'm doing now is going through everything on the counter, and I'm throwing away everything that has expired. I filled an entire garbage bag with expired stuff, so I definitely told my parents to make sure they go through all of the items in the pantry a little more often so that this chaos doesn't happen again. And at the same time, I'm also organizing things into different categories to help me figure out and lay out what things can be placed in all of those jars that I bought. So the first thing that I thought could go in a jar is this garam masala. So my parents have 2 bags of garam masala, so I started filling it in this glass jar, but I realized it was too small to hold 2 bags, so I grabbed this larger jar and I filled it in there. I can feel the heat is rising. So the next thing that we had a lot of and I thought needed to go in a jar is this thing right here. It is called amchar masala, not to be confused with garam masala because the two are totally different, and if I mix those two together, my parents probably would have yelled at me. I know a lot of Indian spices look the same, so my parents know when you mix amchar masala with garam masala, they will know and they will come for me. But anyway, so I was able to fill this jar up, and the next big staple in an Indian pantry that I'm going to fill this big jar with is flour. I knew I had to fill the flour in a large jar, so I'm just going to do that right now. And by the way, I totally forgot to bring my label maker with me, so the next time I come to my parents' house, I will label all of these jars for them. And this is one of those things I love about YouTube videos, because I can just reference it and I know what is what goes where, because I can just see it on my last video. So this last thing that I'm filling in a jar is definitely more of a Guyanese thing. This is just brown sugar, and I'm mixing both cane sugar and coconut sugar because it really doesn't matter to my parents. Brown sugar is just one and the same to them, whether that's cane sugar or coconut sugar. So I got this large plastic bin so that I can place all of the utility type of things, light bulbs, batteries, flashlight, all of those things are going in here. Previously, if you remember from the before shot, it was all just laid out on the very top shelf and it was just really chaotic. So the other plastic bin is going to be for all of the spices, all the Indian spices and bay leaves. corn flour, all of the things that my parents used to cook with are going in there, just all neat and categorized. And then in this last plastic bin is going to be like oatmeal and grits and craisins. We had a lot of craisins because Publix had them BOGO, so definitely stocked up on that. And for the very last glass jar, we have so much flour. If you're Indian, you understand that flour is just a huge thing. So I thought maybe it'd be best if I fill that thing up with some more flour in case my mom bought more flour. And then this was my coffee jar, but I'm going to use it to place all of their chickpeas in it. And yeah, so all of the chickpeas have been emptied into the glass drawer, and I'm just gonna do some final touches in the pantry and place everything away. Now for this last shelf, it always makes me laugh and kind of roll my eyes because this is where all of the actual food is gonna go. And as you can see, we don't really have a lot of like snack kind of foods. I would say like the pantry grocery type of foods. We don't have a lot of that because my parents are just really into cooking. That's just what their culture is like. So they pretty much cook almost every single meal. So any snacks in here are really for me. Like when I come here, I definitely need Oreos. I need my craisins, and my mom knows that. So sometimes she'll just, if she sees it on sale, she'll buy it for me. And definitely a little bit of cereal for me. But yeah, I just think that's so funny that like our pantry is really just like a bunch of ingredients to cook. Alright you guys, we are so close to being done. All of the jars that had the seasoning I placed on the bottom shelf, and like I said, I'm gonna label it when I come back home. And now I'm just putting any leftover items on the countertops away in the pantry. Now what we're gonna do is I bought this really cute woven basket from Home Goods, and I'm just going to wipe it down, give it a good cleaning, and then we're gonna place all of the paper goods in here. And my mom buys those gloves from Publix whenever they're BOGO, so there's some gloves, some Ziploc bags, trash bags, all of that is going in here. Plastic spoons, and then I can just put it down there at the bottom, and now everything is super organized. Before, she had all of those things on the shelves with the food and jars, and it just didn't really make any sense. So the very last thing that I'm going to put together is another thing that I bought at Home Goods, and this is a dog food dispenser or dog food holder. I don't know what you call it, but I'm just going to wash that with hot water and soap, and we're gonna place Luke's food in here. And I just realized I did not film Luke in this video. Anytime I'm home, I love putting Luke in my videos because he's just the cutest little doggy. Anyway, so I'm just gonna get this really clean, really dry, and then we're gonna add his food in here.
I can see it in your eyes. You don't wanna talk anymore. I wanna get so numb, we'll be enemies. No, you don't.
Alright, so as I pour out Luke's food in here, I just want to say, if you are still here, give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment below and let me know. I really do love talking to all of you, so let me know by giving it a thumbs up and leaving a comment for me. I hope you all enjoy the before and after of this pantry makeover at my parents' house, and I'll talk to you all in my next video. Bye!